Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special edition of Teen Talk Live. I am your host, Ann Dillard. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and the host of this show. And our goal on Teen Talk Live is to transform the lives and minds of teens and those who love them. So tonight, I'm so glad you're joining us because I have some really special friends here with me. We have Pastor Tim Brewington and his girls, Janiyah and Jakaya. Welcome, you all.
Hi.
Awesome. I'm so glad you're here because first of all, I miss you all. Since moving to Atlanta, I don't get to see you all as much. And I'm just really proud of you. I'm proud of the great things that you all are doing and watching you all grow up and knowing that your dad has such a powerful influence in your life. And he's one of the people in our community that I admire his parenting. And so that is one of the reasons why I am so glad that you said yes to being here on Teen Talk Live tonight. So welcome, Pastor Tim, and welcome, girls.
Thank you. We're glad to be here, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers who are watching. And we've been looking forward to having this conversation tonight.
Absolutely. So go ahead and share this out. It's on my business page. I'm sharing it right now on my personal page. So go ahead, share it out, invite your friends to come in with us into this conversation, because I believe it's going to transform lives. I believe it's going to be a blessing to somebody out there. So go ahead and share it out. I'm sharing it out right now. So it's I'm trying to figure out how to use this new system, and it's gonna be all right. So Pastor Tim, tell me about you. How do you serve the world?
Wow, how do I serve the world? I think it's several capacities. Kind of my official capacities, that of a pastor and author and a spiritual mentor. And I think of those kind of elements of how I serve the world is by being an example to people of how to live a life that is full and productive, and in the face of challenges, and how to look to God for strength and wisdom and direction. I have a strong desire to see people grow spiritually and embrace their true identity in Christ. I find that people who don't know who they are in Christ struggle a lot, and the adversary is able to come along and kind of tell them who they are, and they adopt these identities that are contrary to what God says about us. So behind everything I do, I'm trying to help people to understand and embrace who they are in Christ, so they can live the life He intended.
Okay. All right. That sounds really good. And hopefully we'll get into some of that to break it down a little bit. So girls, tell us a little bit about yourself. Jakaya, you want to start first?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'm a very independent person, and when I look at my dad and how great he is, it's kind of scary because of just how big and how great he is, and how other people say, "Oh my God, I love your dad so much," and you're like, "Oh, okay, oh my goodness," and just really just look up to him, and it's so happy to see how other people look up to him too. I like to work hard, and many people come to me and said, "You work so hard," and then I think I learned that from my dad as well, and just work really hard and try to become the best person I can.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I can imagine, or just slightly imagine, having such a huge icon as your dad, and some of the pressures that might even bring as well. And we can talk about that just a little bit later. Janiyah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well,
imagine, or just slightly. Hold on.
And I'm a junior in high school right now, or not junior. I'm
pressures that.
And the things that I like to do is I like jigsaw puzzles. I'm more of a I like solving doing stuff with strategy.
Might even bring as well. And we can talk about that just a little bit later. Janaya, tell us a little. Technical difficulties over here. Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so you like jigsaw puzzles?
Mm-hmm. I guess I could say I'm independent as well. I'm kind of the person that likes to figure stuff out on their own. And I know sometimes that you need somebody there to kind of help you, guide you, and kind of push you to do certain things. And I know I kind of struggle with that. So I kind of, mostly with my dad, I ask him for help with certain things, and he kind of pushes me. And sometimes I figure it out on my own, and sometimes I need that little push to kind of help motivate.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Pastor Tim, you have two beautiful young ladies, and should we tell the audience that we have twins, right?
Yeah.
The girls are twins. And so sometimes they finish each other's sentences and all the twin stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So tell me about raising twin teen daughters. Is it different than raising a son? I know you have a son, he's much younger, but what do you see are the differences with raising girls versus raising boys?
So I'll address the twin issue first. The challenge of raising twins is that instead of having one girl going through something, you have two girls going through it at the same time. And they are both responding differently to it. So you're trying to figure out what's the best approach for them as individuals instead of putting them as one child. And I think sometimes parents make the mistake of treating twins as if they are one child. And they're not. They're two very different girls with different personalities and approaches and viewpoints. And so you have to treat them as individuals, even though they're the same age and going through the same thing. How they go through it is different. And so you have to support them differently based upon how they go through things. And so that's been my approach with the twin aspect. Raising girls, I think, is different than boys because I'm more protective of my girls than I am of my son, because I know he's out there, and I'm going to do the best I can to protect them from all the wolves and the thieves and the scorpions that are out there in the world. And so I'm definitely harder on them than I am on my son because they're girls. They need to be protected.
So girls, tell me, what does that feel like, to hear dad say, I'm harder on you all? What do you think about that? And you could choose whoever want to answer that.
It's just a great example of how much he cares, and you see there's so many friends that are like, oh, my dad doesn't really care about me and I hate my dad. At the same time, I get frustrated sometimes. They're like, what? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And like one of the examples, like I wanted to get Instagram, I wanted to get Facebook, and he's telling me, oh, don't get those things, because he's protecting me from something that I do not know, It's
you still ask.
But you still ask.
I know. I mean, there has to be a point where, I need to know somehow. I just need to experience a little bit, but I don't know. I just want to see what it's like to be on social media. I do have Snapchat, but I'm not on it as much. But I just think that's one of the examples of how he's protecting me.
Right. I get it, because that's one of the questions I have coming up. I'll save that. But I do understand. Maybe we can negotiate something a little bit, huh? Okay. All right, Janaya, tell me about that.
Okay. Truthfully?
Yes.
Sometimes it's annoying. Sometimes it's really, really annoying. But then you have to remember that a lot of kids don't have a father in their life to tell them, to guide them and show them where they're supposed to go and what they can and can't do. So honestly, it's very helpful. Besides sometimes it being annoying.
Right.
As a young girl, teenager in this, different world, stuff like that. So I'm very appreciative of it.
I get it. And thank you for being honest. And look, let me get both your parents' consent. Whatever you say on this show, you're not going to get in trouble for it.
Depends on what you say.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Dr. Dana, you are on. Look, can you promise me that they won't get in trouble for being honest? Okay, that makes sense, and I can understand how it's annoying. And like Jakaya said, there's something that you're being protected from that you don't really know, and sometimes it's good to know, and other times it's not good to know. So I bet your parents have some point in introducing you to those things and how they'll go about doing that, because they haven't, they've done a good job so far.
Yeah.
Yes. So let me welcome our guest. Joseph is here. He say, hey, Brewingtons. Erica is here. Thank you for being here. Tasha is here. Dr. Dana is here. Welcome. Thanks for sharing your family with us. Sister Sonia is here. Thank you for joining us. And Kay Humphrey is here. And I am so excited. Sabra is here with us. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to try to get to the comments and figure out how to do this, work in the technical side here. But I'll come back to that comment in a little bit. So as a pastor, you talk about your pastorship. As a pastor, is it harder raising kids in today's society? And what are some of the challenges of being a pastor and trying to maintain this balance as a dad?
Yeah, I think, so I'll answer the first question. Is it harder raising kids now in today's society? And I would say yes. And the reason for that is that kids are exposed to things a lot earlier now than they used to be. So things I didn't find out about until I was 16, 17 years old, 7-year-olds know them, 6-year-olds know them. And so now parents are having to have conversations with 7-year-olds that before you were afraid to have that conversation with a 17-year-old. Now you having to explain stuff to a 6-year-old, things that you didn't figure out until you were older. And so that forces parents to have conversations earlier than what they were accustomed to in the past. The second thing that makes parenting now more difficult is because you don't have, it's not the stranger in the street that you have to protect your child from. It's the stranger on the internet that you have to protect your child from. So I need to know every new software, every new platform that comes out there. I need to know that that platform exists. I need to know that if your kid is playing a game, somebody who is playing that game in France can talk to your kid. And so it's not just the stranger in the street, it's the stranger that's on their phone or on the computer, that as a parent, I have to be aware of those things. And that's why I make no apologies for not allowing my kids to have access to certain social media platforms, because it's a challenge now. And then, trying the balance between pastoral ministry and family ministry. I have friends who parents were pastors, and they would say, my father knew more about what's going on in the lives of the other kids in the church than in our own lives. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted that to be the case, that I know more about what's happening in one of the members' kids' life than my own kid's life. So I set up boundaries. And if my kids have something scheduled, listen, I do like everybody else does. Everybody else puts their family first. Mm-hmm. And no matter what's going on at church, if they have something planned for their family, they take care of their family. So mm-hmm. I've taken on that same approach. My family is my a priority. So I set the boundaries because I never want my family to feel that the church is more important to me than they are. And so
That's
I would.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been called. My first ministry is to be the spiritual head of my household. And if I neglect that, the Bible says that if I don't rule my own house well, I'm not fit to serve in the kingdom of God. And so my family is my priority. And so
Thanks for sharing that. So, okay, Joseph says great awareness, and Kay says you've raised some beautiful, intelligent, and articulate daughters. So kudos to you. So, okay, so we are approaching, we talked about social media. We talked about, the balance. So we are approaching a critical point right now. The girls are seniors, and pretty soon they're going to be going off to college. When did that happen, right? And so how do you think I know that you all have done a good job guiding them. How do you think they will deal with the social media example, the social media issue when they're no longer at home?
Yeah, so I think, one of our responsibilities as parents is to give kids the tools that they need to be successful in the world. Give them kind of a template to follow. And just like you would not invite a stranger that you meet to come into your home, then on social media, you should not be giving out your address or your phone number or any personal information. And so kind of help them understand how you need to protect yourself in this new world, knowing that they are going to be exposed to these things. But I want them to have the tools that they need to know how to navigate and make the right decisions, and understand that everybody is not your friend, and some people are very manipulative, and I don't want them to go out into the world and be vulnerable and insecure and needy, because you become easy prey for people who want to take advantage of you.
I totally agree. Yeah. I totally agree. So it seemed like this senior year is going to be quite a big transitional year for everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. Joseph said, I appreciate you protecting your daughters. Do you fear that what they will do when they are not under your wings? And I think you kind of answered that question about setting the boundaries and giving them a blueprint for their future.
Yeah. I mean, I would tell you this. I am not too concerned about how they will be when they're not under my wing, because I've already seen them make wise decisions, right? So you look at the type of friends that your children choose, because that is an indication of what they are going to be when they're not around you. And my girls have chosen some wonderful young ladies to be their friends. So that tells me that it's instilled in them already what type of person they are to be in the world. And they are surrounding themselves with other young ladies who hold the same principles. So I am confident that when they are not living with me, they will continue to make those wise decisions. And if they make a bad decision, then I'm here to help them to rethink things and recover. And let's figure out what to do should that situation arise again.
Wow. Yes. Thank you. So girls, what is, I know that, let me preface this question by saying, I know that maybe, I don't know if the area or the schools that you go to, if you find that some of your friends or a lot of your friends don't have their dads in their houses or in their homes. What does that mean to you to have your dad in home present with you? Or the other part of that question you might want to answer is, how do you see that differently from your friends who don't have their dads around?
Okay, so it's not I think their dads are around. Well, the people that I hang around with, their dads are around. It's a matter about the fact that they don't have a connection with them as I do with my dad. It's about they don't go to their dad and say, I need help with this, because maybe they have their own problems and they uh, don't have a great connection as I do with my dad. And so I think that ways that I would say, oh, this is what my dad said, and I would tell them about it. And they're always coming to me like, wow, you have really great advice, Jakaya. Like, where do you get all that from? Like, I get that from my parents, you know. And that's just another example how they're raising me, and how I'm supposed to be a leader. Like, my dad is a leader of this church, and how I need to express other people and how I feel. So
awesome. Janae?
Well, for me, it's a lot of people, as Jakaya said, do have their fathers in their life, and then there are people who actually never see their father. And I guess you could say that they don't have boundaries at all. They're just out there, and there's no one there to actually show them their way back home. And sometimes their mom is their dad and their mother, and I don't know, it's not, you don't have that male figure to you don't have anyone there to protect you. And so they're kind of just out there and doing whatever they want to, and they don't have anyone there to tell them, like, no, like, you can't do that. So I guess it's the same as what Jakaya said.
Yeah, and let's say they're doing it. Let's say they wanted to go to a party, and I'm like, oh yeah, I can't do that. There's just the negative environment. I can't do it. They're like, oh really? Like, why? Like, well, my parents won't allow me, and because I just don't think that's a good idea. And you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, my parents let me do whatever I want, and I'm like, oh. So I think that's a good example.
Wow, that's pretty powerful, because boundaries are like everything. And that's really important. So Pastor Tim, how do you help to mold and cultivate the self-esteem of your girls?
I think, first of all, I try to treat them as if they are valuable. So I listen to their opinions. I have a high demand on them because I know what they can be. And so I have raised my expectation of them, and hopefully they're getting their self-esteem from the fact that I expect from them what I know they are, right? And so it's a matter of pulling it out of them and complimenting them when they do well, and giving them an encouragement in the areas they are struggling in, so that, they don't give up, and they don't rely on other people to make them feel good about themselves. They don't rely upon people to give them their identity. I want them to have that already, and I try to help them to come to that place.
Wow. So girls, what's one thing that your dad has done or has said that has really boosted your confidence or your self-esteem to make you feel, like he's saying, make you feel secure in who you are?
For me, it would actually be last Sunday's sermon that he preached. And well, it was more of for Jakaya and I, it was was it last Sunday? It was I think it was the Awana graduation. Was that last Sunday?
Yeah, the Sunday before that.
The Sunday before that, sorry. He was telling us about how he said something to the principal and he had to repeat it to his parents, and how everyone at his church knew about it.
Really?
Yeah, this is funny. Just like, I'm not going to tell them a story. And he basically said everybody at the church knew, because they're family to him as well. Their aunts, uncles, even though it's not by blood, they're still, the whole church is his family. Aunts, uncles, grandmothers, mothers, fathers, all of that. So when they knew, he thought it would be over, but when he got to church, everyone was like, oh, so how'd you do at school? Yeah, I heard about that. And it kind of impacted his parents, my grandparents, and they have to represent, he's basically representing our grandparents. And when something like that happens, people start to believe, oh, how are they teaching him? How are they disciplining him at home? And for me now, when I heard that, I just thought of how actually it really is true. Because at this church, I feel as though it's a family. And if you get a good grade on a test, everyone at church will know, and they'll be there to support you and, throw a party or whatever and celebrate that. And it's very beneficial because most people don't, it's more of, I don't really get that at school. I might get, oh, congratulations, you did well, from my friends. But when it's the whole congregation, the whole church, it's very heartwarming. And for me, that sermon really touched me because I realized how true it is. It's very true. So.
Wow. And I can see how that could boost your self-confidence. Yes. Okay. Jakaya?
Yeah, I agree with Janai as well. I try to work as hard as I can in school, and then I just love it when my parents are like, "You're doing a good job," and continue doing what you're doing, and it just makes me really happy and like I'm on the right track. And then when I'm low and they're like, "You're gonna do better, Jakaya. Just keep on building up and up." And I just think just those little words, just those little things, just push you to do better, And I just just the church community does the same thing. You're doing a great job, Jakaya. I saw that post. You're looking at colleges. You're looking at all this other stuff, and it's just really heartwarming. What can I say?
Wow. That's pretty powerful. Thank you for sharing that, because having a lot of people will say, I'm their mother and their father. And like I said before, I don't believe a mother can be a father. Mm-hmm. There's a specific role for a father, mm-hmm. and it both contributes to your identity development, both contribute to your self-esteem, and the lack of a father is so damaging to boys and to girls. And so I celebrate you all having a father. So I'm going to play Angel's advocate. So tell me this. Do you ever get in competition for your dad's attention?
No, I don't think so.
For me, because Jakai is in track and I don't really do sports, I'm not really athletic. I'm more of the stay in the background. I might like, I wouldn't say debate, but I kind of like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm more in the background. She's more out there, the track star is what they call her at home. And I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a competition for me. I don't think for Jakaya, but for me, because I'm not athletic. I don't do anything like that. I don't actually do anything really. I just focus on schoolwork and try to get A's in class. So I was taking chemistry for junior year and I was struggling. And when I got a good grade on a test and I told my parents, and they were so happy because I was struggling so much. And, most people probably remember chemistry, maybe not, but it was such a hard class, remembering all the math and the information that you need to go into the periodic table and all that. And when my parents found that I got an A on a test, they were like, you worked so hard. Like, I don't even remember chemistry. That's why my dad said, I don't remember chemistry. But you worked so hard to get that, and I'm really proud of you. And they're not just focusing on just Jakaya and her track. Mm-hmm. So I know that I'm just as important as her.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I know where she's coming from. I sometimes, from my point of view, I can't say that that I think that that my dad favors one or another. I think he just favors both of us. And then when problems come along and we come to him, he answers to us. So I just think, I think it's equal. I don't know. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm. So mom says probably from Zachary. So and we should tell the
boy. I understand that.
Zachary is the only boy in the house. So maybe maybe from Zachary, huh?
Mm-hmm, definitely. Like he gets away with a little bit more stuff than we do. So if we're like,
you're
Dad,
also 17.
Okay, but she still gets away with more stuff. And when I was 12, I couldn't do nothing. And then Zachary will be like, Dad, there's a hole in the wall. He's like, okay. Yeah. Okay, it's whatever. You know, he's a boy. Just let him do whatever. I'm like, Dad. He's like, just let him do it. He'll learn the hard way. I'm like, wow. But if I do it, I get grounded and I get everything taken away from me. It's not fair.
I get it. And, you know, Dad was upfront. He said he is harder on you all, which, again, you all agree to. It's not fair. so I
think they said they didn't like it sometimes. It's frustrating sometimes, but I don't think they said it's not fair.
Okay, my bad. Don't let me put words in your mouth. Okay, so you don't like it. but I can understand. And Zachary's younger, and as a parent, one of the things that I do know is that as you raise children, you kind of lighten up as you get a little down, you know, down in the age group. You kind of lighten up a little bit. But I'm sure Zachary will have his own standards and his own boundaries and his own level of expectations. And plus, when you all leave for school, they're going to have a laser focus on Zachary. So he's got it coming. I think. Don't let me put words in your mouth. I think.
I have no comment.
So moving along with the conversation. So what would you say, Pastor Tim, to parents, families, or to dads, you know, dads who are missing out on this opportunity to raise their daughters?
Yeah, you know, I would say it is, your children don't expect you to be perfect, but they need you to be present.
Okay.
Be present. They need to know that you are there. If you don't say a word, just be there. When they look up, let them see you and know that you are there. Your presence is the most important thing that you can offer. I know that there are some fathers who financially are not able to do what they would like to do for their children, and they feel bad about that, and they allow there to be a separation in the relationship because they are not able to financially provide for their children. So I want to communicate to the fathers that there is nothing more important to your child than being present. Mm-hmm. The new toy, the new clothes, all those things are going to be old in 3 months. But your presence, being there, and when you are in the room with them, be present with them, not have your mind somewhere else. You can be in the home, but absent at the same time. You know, set aside the time to be with your children when they have your undivided attention, because that's what they are going to remember when they grow old. And if you have not done that, no matter what financial thing you provide for them, they're going to talk about the fact that you were not there for them. And I also say that no matter how old your children are, they still need you. I don't care if he's 20 or 40 years old, he needs you present in his life in one way or another. So it's not too late to work on those relationships and be present for your children, whatever stage of life that they're in. I think I heard T.D. Jakes said, that men need their fathers more the older they get than even when they are young. So don't think because he's 25 years old, he doesn't need me anymore. No, he needs you more now than he ever has needed you. So be present. That's the most important thing.
Thank you. Thank you. And I think that is so critical. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just going to click over to the comments. And Joseph said, thanks for your openness and your honesty. And he says he believes that this will help people who are watching. And we have some people joining us. Thank you, Don, for being here. Nate Wells, thank you for being here. Hey, girls, shout out to your grandma Hazel. She's watching.
Yay, Mama Lou.
And so Nate said, hi, Ann, this is powerful stuff you're doing. World changers. That's right. We are changing the world. We're changing the lives of teens and those who love them. And I'm just always grateful for my guests who are willing to come on and be transparent in this huddle with me. And so I appreciate you all again. So, all right. So if you could ask your dad one question without getting in trouble. Mom already said y'all not gonna get in trouble. So without getting in trouble, what would that question be?
I don't think I'll get in trouble for this, but I would say, how did you know that it was your calling to be a preacher? I mean, I know at a really young age, he like started preaching. So, I mean, even at a young age, you're really young. And so you have, as I get older, I'm just deciding that so many different things of what I want to do for a living. And I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this. And like, how did he stick to this one thing? And I'm having a hard time with that right now. So, yeah, how did you know that that was your purpose?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, you know, I had a bone marrow transplant at 13 years old, which was a life or death experience. And when you face your own mortality at a young age, I mean, you all are 17. I was 13 years old being told that I had 6 months to live.
Wow.
So when you deal with that, it matures you very quickly. You quickly find out what is most important about life. And so when it came to my call, you know, I was invited to speak and share my testimony places, but I felt like as I was sharing my testimony, I needed to add more biblical content to my testimony so that I could leave people with not just my experience, but something settled in their hearts that they could stand on, and that's the word of God. And so as I was doing that, God began to reveal to me. I had a couple of visions. God showed me standing in front of a congregation preaching, and it was people that I was not familiar with. And I knew I wasn't just sharing my testimony, but I was sharing the word. And I wrestled. I fought God on it for quite some time. I had 7 confirmations before I said yes to it. But once I realized that that's what God wanted me to do with my life, first of all, I realized that the only reason I was alive was because God spared my life. And so if he gave me this life, then he had the right to decide what I was going to do with it because it belongs to him. And so I realized that I have to live the rest of my life doing what he has called me to do, because I came very close to not being here. And so I had to stay laser focused, because for me it was a life or death situation. I was like, God, if this is the reason why I'm here, if I don't do this, then why am I here? What's the reason for you to keep me here? So that's how at a young age I made that commitment, and I've been doing that since I was 13. So.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. And I'm glad that your sister, right, was the bone marrow donor?
My older sister, Tim Brewington, was the bone marrow donor, which was a miracle within itself. The doctors wasn't sure that she would be a match, but she was a perfect match, which is phenomenal within itself, because they'll do a bone marrow transplant for partial matches, but the success rate is reduced. But to have a perfect match, even amongst a single Usually twins will have a perfect match. And for her to be a twin and be a perfect match, again, that tells me when God was making her, he was thinking about me. And so, how can I tell him what I'm not going to do with this life? And clearly, he has put me together for a reason. And so,
right. Wow, that's pretty powerful. And I'm gonna come to Janaya, but let's tell us about your book. You wrote about this.
Oh yes. I wrote a book called For the Record, a personal story of faith, healing, and hope. It's available on Amazon.com. You can go get it today. But the book tells my story. I'd say it's my story, but it's not about me. And really, the purpose of the book is to help people see the hand of God through the situations in their life. That even when the most devastating thing happens to you, if you look closely enough, you will see the hand of God. You will see his protection, his direction. And I tie my experience to the biblical account. Here's what happened in the Bible. Here is what happened to me. And it gives kind of an expectation that when the worst happens, God is setting you up for something great. And wanted to prove that God intervenes in human affairs. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of denial about the activity of God in human affairs. So I demonstrated in the book examples where human beings had done all they could do. Doctors left their shift expecting me to be dead by the time they got back to work, and they got back to work and I was still living. And instead of signing my death certificate, they were signing a transfer for me to go to another hospital. And so I wanted to demonstrate, for the record, all these conversations about what God is and what he is not. I wanted to put on the record examples where God, without question, intervened in human affairs. It's not just in the Bible, but he's still intervening in human affairs. I want to give people hope that God is very much involved in what's happening.
Because if he did it for you, he'll do it for me.
Absolutely.
Right. So if you all are watching, Dr. Dana or Tiffany, drop the link to the book from Amazon in the comments so that our viewers can go out to Amazon and get a copy of that book. Thank you for doing that. So, Jakaya, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did, because at a young age, I was born premature. And so I was expected to die the next day. And so I'm just like, I just pray to God, I'm like, why did you save me? I was supposed to die the next day. I was a baby, and you raised me into I am today. And I'm just like, what is my purpose? So I'm just trying to find that lately. And that really helped a lot.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And your testimony, Pastor Tim, thank you for sharing that. And as you go and as you grow up, you might not know right away, but things in life will line up, and you have the direction and the instructions from your parents. And I believe that God will show you what it is that you are to be, and you don't have to make a decision right now, right? That's the best part. And I'll send you an activity when we're done so that you can work on it together to kind of, look at what you enjoy doing, what gifts you have, what talents you have that can contribute to the world. Yeah. Okay. Janaya.
Jakaya took my question. Why? Consequence of being a twin, we think the same stuff. So I was thinking about a question. I actually do not have. I don't think there's anything. Maybe.
Well, you're good at asking me questions that you want to know.
Well, it's only because I'm curious, but you always tell me to look it up. So what's the point?
Mom says,
"Can I have a dog?"
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes.
When you get a house.
When are you guys getting me a dog?
Not.
Yes, you are. You guys are getting me a dog.
Okay.
Mom keeps hinting on it. I know you guys are getting me a dog.
I'm not getting you a dog.
Yeah, when I graduate, you give me a dog.
You're not getting a dog.
Why?
Because I'm the one walking.
No, that's not true.
Continue on. Next question.
The dog story. Okay, the dog saga. Okay, we'll move on. I kind of told my kids the same thing, no dog, because when they leave for school, I got to take care of the dog.
I know how this is going to go.
Okay, somebody said, Tiffany said, ask about your driver's license.
They're in driver's ed.
Yeah,
I just got my blue card a few days ago.
Is that permit?
I have to take the knowledge test next. So it's 40 questions, and then I have to take the behind the wheel, and then the road test and some other stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of steps left, but that was the first part.
And Tiffany already knows the answer to that question. That's my.
It's Tiffany starting stuff.
Don't answer any questions. She know all her comments.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so Pastor Tim, when you look at your girls, what are you most proud of in each of them?
I'm proud about how compassionate they are towards people. They care very deeply about people who are struggling or who are not included in things, very sensitive to the people around them. And I don't think you can ask for anything better than having children who are compassionate and care about the people of the world. And I mean, I couldn't be more prouder than that. I don't care what they do for a career. I want them to be people who care about other people and are doing something that eases the suffering of others. As long as they're doing that, I'm good.
Wow. And then girls, what are you most proud of in your parents, particularly your dad?
I think just how strong they are in faith, because they really love God, and I just love that, because they never just fall away from God. They always said, when I struggled with stuff, like, you better go pray right now. You better go pray. And I just love that they just have faith in God, and it just really it makes me really strong inside, and I just love that. So
awesome.
Just their faith. Yeah. What do you think?
Okay. So actually, I have a couple of things. One would be what Jakaya said, just being strong in their faith and never backsliding, just always being there for us and teaching us things that they learned. So whether that be a scripture from the Bible or something that their parents told them, and just always making sure that we keep up in our faith and we never stop believing, never just take a break and chillax, right? And another thing would be is I love that they're there for us, and what I'm proud of is actually their humor in bringing they're good at bringing the family together. So, well, for Father's Day, our dad wants to go hiking. I said no, but
it's too hot today.
It's hot, really hot, but it's what he thinks is. It's his day anyway. We're celebrating
it's Father's Day.
And it's something that I think would bring the family together, just a day to walk outside and just admire the beauty that God has created. Is one of the most amazing things ever. And it just always making us laugh. I really love things that make me laugh. I love laughing. It's the best thing, most helpful thing if you're feeling down. And they're always there just to make me laugh. If I'm feeling down, they're just there to bring me up, and I'm never sad because of that. So it'd be something that I'm most proud of.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And then I was going to come back to you girls and say, what would you say to a father who is missing out on his daughters growing up? What would you say to that father who might be watching and say, well, she doesn't need me. I don't get along with her mom anyways, and things like that. What would you say to that father?
I would say you're missing out on everything. You're missing out on the first time they talk, the first time they get an A on a test, the first time they graduate, the first time they get married, the first time they have their child. You're missing out on everything. And the biggest thing about, for me, being my dad being a father and being there for me, it's when I'm feeling down, they're there to help me. And if you're not there and you're struggling alone, and it's not good. You want your father there for you to bring you up. It's different when it's your mother, because, well, I wouldn't say your mother has to, but she's kind of, it's just that motherly love. With your father, it's just a bond that, it's just very strong connection. And when they miss out on everything that their daughter goes through, whether it's the obstacles in their way, or it's something that they want to know that only their father can tell them, they're missing out. They need to be there. As my dad said, be present. You have to. You're missing out on everything.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing if you're there for your daughter, especially. So.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing as well, and just be present, even though you're going through those problems with the mother or whatever it's happening. Just know that they care, that the father, that you care about them, and just be present, even though you're going through all these problems and situations, and you're sick, and just let them know that you're there for them, you know. And so I just think that just a big thing. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful. You have something to say, Janae?
Yeah, and I also think you can't really put a price on your child. A child was brought in the world by God. You can't take, how would I say this? You're taking away their joy when you're not there for them. And
wow.
You can't put them on this earth for a reason. And they need both parents to be there to kind of guide them. And so buying them expensive gifts and all that it's not going to cut it. Okay, You have to be there. And your love is what is enough. It's exactly what they need. You can't put a price on it. So
that's pretty powerful. Look, I'm looking for co-hosts for the show. Y'all want to co-host Teen Talk Live? Because I think you all would do an amazing job. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's pretty powerful coming from you too. And hey, Caleb Nelson, thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Joseph says wonderful answers, ladies. And if you all are joining us on Teen Talk Live, we're here with the Brewingtons, and they are just amazing and being very transparent and sharing about their relationship. And I ask you to share this video out so that we can get the word out, and so that the world can get to know their story. So share. If you're catching us on the replay, #replay, and you share also, because we want to make sure that their voices are heard across the world. So thank you all for being here. If you have any questions, we're wrapping up this segment. And if you have any questions, drop it in the comment section. These ladies are well equipped to answer your questions. Please drop your questions in. Pastor Tim,
yes.
Question for you. How will you know that you've done a good job parenting?
You know, I don't know. I ask other adults, other parents, kind of, when do you get to the place where you can kind of exhale and be like, okay, they're good. I don't have to worry about them. I don't have to look out for them anymore. And I don't know, I think that I'm getting to the place where I have given them all that I'm going to be able to give them. And they're going to use those tools that we have given them. And I just have to trust that we've given them what they need. I think it was Janaya talked about how important it is to be a part of a community of adults that is speaking into their lives. And so not only do I need them to have parents that are there, but we had to be intentional about having them connected to a community of other adults, right, that will be there for them and speak into their lives. So I'm hoping that as they continue to grow in their lives, they will choose to be a part of healthy communities that will encourage their faith and support them in what they are doing. And I don't know when I'll know I've done a good job or not.
That's fair. That's fair. And I'm gonna ask Lady Brewington, how will you know that you've done a good job as a mom? When will you know that? And Joseph said, that's great. We have to give them the tools in order to feel comfortable and confident about their future. I think that decreases the fear. And I think that's so true, making sure they're well equipped. And the village is so important, So I'm going to look for your mom's comment. But I'm going to ask you girls, how will you know that you've made your parents proud?
When we graduate, where we get, whether it be the master's or the doctorate, when we get that in our hands, then I know they did some work. I'm a great kid. Like, they should be proud of me.
We should be proud of it.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but you'll be even more proud when I become a veterinarian. So.
Awesome. I remember when we did the report some years ago, didn't you put on there that you're going to be a veterinarian? Wow. I remember that. I forgot how old you all were, but we did that years ago. Wow. You sticking to your goal. That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, Janaya.
I think just when, like, going back to the purpose, just finding something that you love and care about, and just hold on strong to that. I just think just knowing how to deal with situations in life, just a daily life, and knowing how to know when there's a negative environment, negative people, just to walk away, just all those little things that you have to know just to be in this world. And I just think just showing that stuff just proves and tells them that, okay, I did a good job. I can sit down and I can relax. And I mean, hopefully I want him to relax just a little bit, because I know there's even people in this community who are sitting here and saying, I'm watching out for you guys. I'm praying for you guys. And it's not just my dad and my mom just saying, well, okay, we got to watch out for the girls now. We have a whole community watching out for us, including you. So I have grandparents and aunts and all that stuff. And I just thank them. So.
Wow. That's pretty powerful, because your parents have been really intentional about building that community, because everybody in the community is not safe, and they've done a good job of building that community for your support. And I say, kudos to them. And Mom answered the question. She said, I believe only time will tell, but just watching their friends, husbands, and how they do their own children. That's when she'll know that she's done a good job. And I think that's amazing. Thank you, Dr. Brewington, for answering that. So, quick question, and I know this is on some of my guests' minds. What about dating? What's the Brewington rule about dating? And prom is coming up.
The topic doesn't really come up that much. Just like
there's nothing to talk about.
Like because like I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about my education.
I'm focused on school.
Yeah.
I'm not even like when we turned 17, our mother said we could date, but yeah, you probably talked about that story.
Interesting.
Yeah, but it's just that I'm not focusing on dating at all. Right. I'm focusing on getting my education in school and my A's and becoming what I want to be and also finding my purpose. Right. So I'm not really focused on that. If it comes around, it comes around.
We date for marriage. And if they're not ready to get married, then they don't need to date right now.
That's fine with me.
Okay, good. All in favor, say aye. Say aye.
That's a good question, and thank you for your answer. And Tiffany is instigating. She said, "Done, done, done, done." Okay. Well, if that changes, well, those are good answers, and we have too many girls or just young people who are unfocused and they blow with the wind. And so I admire you girls for being focused, and you know what you want out of life. You stated it. You have your vision boards. You're focused on what you want to do, and I commend you for that. It's not the rule that I see, right? It's the exception to the rule, and I commend you for that. Kudos. And when you have great parents and a dad in your life who's meeting your emotional needs, you don't necessarily have to find that elsewhere at this time. So good for you. Good for you. Yes. So any questions for me?
Do you have any some open spots? Do you do missionary work in Africa, right?
Yes, I do.
When maybe around college or during the summer, we could go down there with you and kind of help. I just want to do anything I can to help.
Come back to the compassion. We are compassionate about this.
Yeah.
You want to help out.
Awesome. Look, I will send your dad information and your mom information, and I am all for it, because I even remember the year that you all came and helped with sewing the hygiene kits for the girls in Senegal, and that was amazing. And I do know that you all have a heart of compassion. And yes, and for those of you who don't know, they are talking about my nonprofit organization called Project Safety Net. So like us on Facebook and follow us to hear about the things that we're doing in Africa. But yes, girls, I'll keep you in touch and informed about that. Yes. Any questions for me, Pastor Tim?
What advice would you give a young girl who is kind of where these young ladies are, where they are getting ready to step out from under their parents' wing and, trying to find their place in the world without the watchful eye of their parents kind of hovering over them?
Well, I think, first of all, I think you all have done an incredible job. You've set a solid foundation for them. You have very focused girls, and there are girls who have integrity. And when you have integrity, this is something that I've taught my kids. When you have integrity, it doesn't matter who's watching, you'll do the right thing. Mm-hmm. And so integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's watching. And you don't feel like you have to be accountable to mom or dad anymore, but there is that the Spirit of the Lord in you that leads you to doing the right thing, and they're doing it. And then just be open to ask questions, explore. There are the going to college 101 that, it'll be good to sit down and have a conversation about, what not to do, what to do, because you just don't know and what to look for. But even to go to college, have fun without fear, but be cautious. Mm-hmm. And protect yourself. And so those are, I imagine those are conversations that's going to be happening in your family and in your circle over the next 12 months as you get prepared for that state in your life. So I think keep focused and continue to go to your parents. Keep that line of communication open with them, even though it might seem difficult to bring it to them. Keep bringing it to them, because they'll be able to help you, and they won't steer you wrong because they love you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Tiffany said, they're such good young ladies. So proud. Awesome job. Yes, they are. They are amazing young ladies. And thank you, Sister Ruby, for joining us. Thank you, Kathy, for joining us, and everybody else who's here on the broadcast. Thank you for being here with us tonight. And we're wrapping up. So I'm going to ask you to give one advice to young girls who are going to be seniors like yourself. And it doesn't even have to do with father, but what's one advice you would give young girls?
For me, it would be focus on your goal. Mostly do something that you love, and don't let anybody tell you any different. And I want to become a veterinarian, and people always tell me like, oh, it's going to be very competitive. You have to know a lot of math and science, and I'm not very strong in that. But I know it's something that I love, and it's something that I'm going to push towards. So do not let anybody tell you that you can't do it, because you can. So focus on your goal and stay on that path, but also ask God for guidance. He can help you. He can tell you he can tell you. I'm struggling here.
He can tell you what path is right.
Yeah,
direct.
He'll direct you. Thank you.
Yeah. Twin power. Okay, Jakaya.
I would say that know who to be friends with and who to hang around with, because the friends you hang around with affects who you are too. And people that you hang around with can change you, and peer pressure. And just make sure that you're hanging around the right people. Your parents will know too. They'll know if it's the right friend to be with. So just make sure with that. And yeah, that's what I would say. Don't be afraid.
Excellent. So, Pastor Tim, to parents out there who are raising teenagers at this critical point in their life, what would you say to them?
I would say, don't be afraid to be your child's parent. Mm-hmm. Get into their business, provide instruction, direction, and be okay with them being angry at you and upset at you. I am friendly to my girls. I have fun with them. I love making them laugh and hanging out with them, but we are not friends. I am there to guide them and to protect them. And I would much rather have them to be upset at me and be safe than like me and put themselves in danger. So I see a lot of parents kind of stepping back, and they don't want to invade their kids' privacy, and they don't want to get all up in their business. No, it is my job. You don't have any business until you get your own place. If it's in my house, it's my business. And I think parents now, we have to step up and be parents to our kids, guide them, direct them, protect them, give them what they need. There are times where, I'm hard on them, and I feel bad about it, but I know it's the right thing. And in due time, just like with my parents, I look back now and I am so thankful for every time they said no. you can't go, you can't do that, you can't have that. I didn't like it at the time, but now I look back and I am so thankful that I had parents who weren't trying to be my friend, but they were guiding me and directing me. So parents, don't be afraid to be a parent. You can be their friend when they're an adult. The relationship changes, but right now, because I mean, you don't have them forever.
Right.
Time fly fast. This is your time to mold them and to shape them and to make them. Once that time is gone, you don't get that back. So
that's great advice. And I hear from what I'm hearing you say, it's like parent with intentionality, parent with focus, parent with compassion, and parent.
Yes, absolutely. There you go.
That is so key. Well, we are closing, and Nate, I'm so glad you were here with us tonight. Thank you. And you're right. If we don't do it, the cops will do it later. That is so true. And especially if we can do it with intentionality and compassion. That just makes it all the better. And Joseph said, parenting is not for cowards. And that is so true. It's a hard thing. And we used to talk about it. Our kids might not like us, but they'll thank us later. And it looks like your girls like you pretty well.
They should.
It's funny.
Wow.
Well, I am so delighted to have you all here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for giving up this time on Father's Day to share. And we're going to share this out because I know that it'll impact lives. And we'll be in touch about a couple of things. So I'm so honored. And thank you, Dr. Dana, for sharing your family with us on Father's Day, because here at Teen Talk Live, we are about transforming the lives and minds of teens and those who love them. And we'll say good night. Happy Father's Day to everyone. Happy Father's Day to my husband. Happy Father's Day to you, Pastor Tim. Appreciate you. And to all the fathers who are watching, happy Father's Day. God bless you and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.